Your powers are weak, old man.
You can't win, Darth. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Anyway, started to record this like a couple days ago, but seeing what's been going on the YouTube streets, especially with Soul and Black and Valdez. And it's not to throw any shade at it one way or the other, because quite a bit of it I do agree with. I agree that, like it or not, I probably do prefer Trump over Biden and Harris. I really don't like Biden and Harris as candidates. I really don't. As Democrats, or but if you had to choose the lesser of two evils, I guess, I don't know. Trump is the devil that we do know. I would say that. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter to me who sits in the seat. Now, you're going to get some things out of one and other things out of the other. But at the end of the day, there's only so much they can do in any given environment. And that's all I wanted to say. I mean, Biden and Harris versus Trump and Pence, what's happening with the women, all that is dictated by the environment. But I'll start with something I saw with Soul and Black first. He was actually critiquing Coach Greg Adams about the men coming into the space. And since COVID-19, they were at home, their relationships are going bust. That the bump that we're getting in men going red pill is just that, literally a bump. And as soon as COVID-19 leaves, which nobody can predict when it will leave, because like anything else, viruses are unpredictable, even probably more unpredictable than people are. We don't have a clue whether it's going to get better, worse, go sideways, mutate to a benign form. They're going to come up with a treatment. We have no clue. And if you look at any of the economists, what they're saying, and this is the majority of them, this is not like a minority of people, we're talking about the majority of them. They're saying that even if COVID stopped today and you found a cure today, the damage that it has done to the economy is going to last at least 2 to 3 years. So you're going to be in a mini depression at least for 2 to 3 years for you to get back to normal, because of the damage that has been done. So the relationships that you see, the relationship that you're having, the damage that is done to people's jobs, even if it does have a mini recovery, the damage won't be alleviated to go back to where you were. And where you were wasn't all that great, but back to where you were until 2023. That's if you solve it today. And the second thing I would say about that, what he was saying about what happens when it goes back to normal, is what is normal going to be? Because you got to remember, COVID-19 in itself didn't start anything off. It accelerated what was already going on. The real estate was already in a bubble. The banks were already in debt. Your pension plans were already trillions of dollars in debt. Automation was coming for your jobs anyway. It was already working its way through the populace, through the job market anyway. It's already replacing people anyway. It was already after women's jobs anyway. All COVID-19 did was basically took a big old pin and popped the balloon. Instead of getting a slow leak, you have things go flat immediately. So it's like having a slow leak in your tire. And you can drive that tire for a day or so, but eventually the tire, when it cools down, is going to go flat. Well, this is like running over a big ass bolt and going through your tire where it goes flat immediately. That's the only difference. The tire is damaged. The tire has been damaged. The only difference is we see it now. So for relationships between men and women to go back to normal, for lack of a better term, or down its normal path decay, is probably not going to happen for 2 or 3 years, if it ever goes back to that point. And I do believe once it gets back to the point, it's just going to be further down the line. Now, the World Economic Forum is not talking about a great reset for nothing. So everything they're thinking about doing between 2025 and 2030, all it did was accelerate those plans. So men's relationship toward family and marriage and women, all that kind of stuff was going to change anyway. Okay, those men were going to come anyway. All COVID-19 did was accelerate it. So now they're at home more, they're working from home more, they're going through their monk phase faster. They're reevaluating relationships faster. Women are reevaluating relationships faster than they would have. So in my estimation, there is no going back. There is no going back to normal. There is no if. There's a matter of when, and basically we're looking at the when. So after Biden and Harris gets into office, or whoever gets into office, you're still looking at 60% of your people being unemployed or out of work. As economists will say, it depends on who's counting and what category is and what numbers you use and what metrics you use to determine what unemployment is. But basically, the people out of work that are not working is 60%. It was already 40% when it's healthy. 40% of your adult Americans before COVID-19 were not working for various reasons. You added another 20%, that means 60% of your people don't have jobs. And they're automating like hell to replace those people. Those people will not have jobs when this thing is over, which is why your tech stocks are going crazy, which is something the World Economic Forum was just saying when I was listening to them. Even before COVID-19, half the world's workforce was going to have to be retrained for something else because the technology was going to replace them. And that was by 2025. Okay, that's already here. And we predicted by 2030 it's going to be 80%. So they just moved the goalpost up, not back, but up 5 or 6 years. That's what any president, I don't care who you are, any president is going to have to face. COVID-19, what Trump has done, Trump was already looking at the end of his administration to have just the federal debt. The federal debt go from the 19 trillion debt he was looking at up to, with the tax breaks and stuff like that, we're looking at 26, 27, maybe by the next time the next president holds office, it's going to be $28 trillion in debt, because what COVID-19 is, that's what the next president is going to have to face. This is a full-blown disaster. And I'm not saying that Trump did it, even though I have my suspicions, okay, that it might not have been Trump, but it might be in his good old buddy Fauci that may have, his hand in the cookie jar. I'm just saying. No shade, no judgment. But it doesn't matter who did what. It is a fact that this is on the president's table. And this is going to be, it was bad this year. It may be worse next year. We don't know. And last year, I should say this year, it was new and it was immediate. We haven't seen the fallout. If you think 2008, 2009 was bad, when Obama got in office and all the foreclosures and the typical bank closings and maybe even the corporate offices, corporate businesses threatening to go out of business, then it's nothing compared to now. That's why they're talking about everything except what's going on with COVID-19, except how to handle the homeless problem, except how to handle the eventual eviction problem. Nobody's thinking about it because it hasn't happened yet, because they've literally kicked it down the road. But the thing is, they can't kick it far because they've run out of road. In 6 months, it's going to be now instead of later. I was looking at a guy on YouTube, Louis Rossman. Shout out to Louis because I follow him, because a lot of stuff he talks about is interesting. Plus, I like to see him sit down and do soldering and MacBook repair. It's always fascinating to me. Yeah, I'm an old tech head by hobby. Ever since I was a little kid, I love taking shit apart. You know how it is. You know how us geeks are. Anyway, he was saying that a lot of the businesses and office space and apartments are empty in New York. And since there were enough people to kind of hide this fact in, the prices stayed high, and the corporate bonds that actually depended on these things as assets, as investments, kind of stayed put. But COVID-19, since people started working from home and started leaving the New York area, that Ponzi scheme, for lack of a better term, has become exposed. And I suspect the Ponzi scheme in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and other places is going to find something similar. You have retail space that just sits there and does nothing. You have office space that sits there and does nothing. If this rent and eviction crisis takes hold, even a little bit, you're going to have a lot of places that are sitting there and have nothing to do. And the fix of the homeless problem is actually very simple. You could have, the trillions of dollars you spent, you could have spent one and solved the homeless problem within a couple of years, but it would screw up the banks. And by screwing up the banks, screw up the economy. By screwing up our economy, it throws the whole global economy off balance, because they're in trouble also. It's links in a chain. It's a domino effect. Everybody's trying to figure out how they can keep their dominoes up while knocking everybody else's over for their own benefit, but it's not going to happen. And any president, I don't care who you are or what you think your ideology is, or how you think you're going to finagle your taxes, or where you think you can kick that can to where you get the maximum distance out of, there is no more road. Trump was going to kick the can down the road, till 2035? Good luck. So that is why I'm not interested in domestic politics. That is why I look at the environment first and their campaign slogan second. That is why I think neither of these two candidates are skillful enough to handle this crisis. I don't think anybody is. Did I think Trump stumbled his way through this? Yes, I do. Do I think he got lucky that this could have been considerably worse? Yes, I think it could have. And I do think we dodged a semi-bullet. We dodged a bullet. We got grazed, but we're still bleeding. It didn't kill us yet. But who knows what the future holds? And eventually, the black swans come home to roost. They do come for us all, eventually. Well, with that, I'm going to jump off of here. This is BGS out, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.